welcome to Opening the Package, Toy Collecting with Ian Brazy Cannon. Okay, we're at episode 9 now. In this episode, I would like to cover a short-lived franchised action figure collection from a recent movie. The movie is Tron Legacy. Now, of course, this is a sequel to the big hit from the 80s, Tron. Personally, movie-wise, I enjoyed it myself. As most collectors of movie figures know, the figures for the movies will come out months before the movie hits. So a lot of this stuff was actually out for some time before the movie came. The movie itself was not too successful, and in the end, for collectors like me, it was a good thing because all the toys went on clearance. Now, at the same time, for collectors like me, it was also a bad thing because we only got 2 series of figures, and there was a lot of figures that would have been cool to have seen them do. So we'll start off with the figures. Now, this is all the small stuff. I did not pick up any of the larger figures, which had some interesting technology to them. So I'm not going to worry about that here, but I will start off with the main character, of course, Sam Flynn. Now, I was a bit disappointed with Sam Flynn character, primarily because of the face. He has a mask that he wears in one scene, the main fight scene he has, near the beginning of the movie. It wasn't that good of a look in the movie, and they definitely botched it big time here. He does not look that impressive. He doesn't look heroic in any way, and it looks kind of silly, actually. Of course, the figure itself is equipped with the batons, which in the movie they open up and they become the light cycles, and the disc, which all programs and users get inside the world of Tron and the grid in order to keep the identity. And of course, one of the features for all these was actually kind of a cool feature, and every single figure of this size had them, is the light up. Basically, they have parts in their chest that light up. So this is the Sam Flynn, our main character. We have his father, Kevin Flynn, who once more lights up. Of course, an interesting little shadow effect on him. Now, of course, he is in the trench coat style thing that he wears, and bare feet. Kind of cool. They all also had little bases that are similar to their discs that they can stand on. Of course, you can't have a good guy without a bad guy in these kind of movies. So our bad guy this time is, of course, Clue, who is basically a copy of Kevin Flynn that kind of went bad. And he, of course, has the lights as well. Now, Kevin Flynn and Sam Flynn were 2 of the few figures where you see the face. Most of the others, they went with the mask, which actually worked really well because that looked cool, easier to do than facial features. There were 1 or 2 others that had faces if you wanted to pick them up. That I don't have those. I wasn't too worried about getting every one in this collection. And then, of course, you have the other main villain who has a bit of a secret to him, Rinzar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Not the best at pronunciations, if people haven't guessed. He, of course, because in the movie he fights with 2 discs, comes with 2 discs. So, and he's the badass bad guy in it. Then you have the standard guards. These are just your henchman guard kind of things. They also do the light up thing in their chests. And they basically had batons. They also had discs. You can see I have one with 2 batons, one with the disc and a baton. Basically, you get a little bit of an assortment of them, and so you can kind of go with whatever you want. Then, of course, we have Cora, the female character. She came with a really cool little sword thing. She does light up. The only female figure released for the action figures. Once more, they decided to go with her mask head instead of her regular face, although she didn't wear this very long in the movie. Most of the time you saw her actual face. So, kind of disappointing, especially with how attractive the actress was. But, going back to the mistakes they did with Sam, I understand why this is the way to go. It looks a lot better. They could have really messed up otherwise. So, of course, this was a line where vehicles played an important role. They did the light jet. Now, this I have in the box because I got it on clearance. I don't have any good place to display it, but my son had one as well, so I can actually show you it. Now, this had some cool features. Of course, with all the Tron stuff, those light ups. And of course, if these had the missiles in it, they'd be firing missiles as well. You had the backup gun, which I think is a lever, but I'm not sure where it is. But it basically have a character back there and pop up and fire the guns. And you had a cockpit that would hold 2 more. So you could actually, this vehicle held 3 standard action figures. So, fairly well done. Looks smooth. Well, if it had all the pieces, if you look, there are some tail fins that are missing from here. But all in all, especially with the Tron stuff, with how the computer graphics and they do very sharp angles, I think that makes an easier transition from the movie to the toys because you have those angles instead of being more organic and such. These are having been done in the computer allows the transfer to toys to be a lot easier because the geometric shapes are fairly precise. So I think that was one thing you saw. These toys are actually really well done representations of the movies. And of course we have the smaller gliders for the bad guys. And you can see a figure that's basically designed to only fit in here. I understand why they have to do that at times. It's a bit disappointing because I prefer the figures to be able to fit in all things. But certain vehicles at certain times, it's easier to make sure they can only fit in there. It means the figure is not much use outside of the vehicle, but he still looks cool. And of course, light up feature. He also has a missile launcher. And I think that's about it, but still well done, fun little toy. See, this one has its fins on, and they go, now I can move them up and down, reposition them. Fun, fun, fun. But fun little toy, it goes perfect with the bigger glider. You get an army of these chasing them. So you can have a real good time. Then, of course, this is one I have no desire to open right now because once more I have no good place to display it, but they did the Deluxe Light Runner, which we saw for a short time in the movie, which is a 2-person little dune buggy kind of deal. Fun little thing. And so now we get to what is more or less the signature vehicle of both of the Tron movies and even the Tron cartoon Tron Uprising, and that is the light cycles. We'll start off with the Kevin Flynn Vintage Light Cycle, a movie they even refer to as being vintage. It is basically stylized after the light cycles of the original Tron movie, even though we never saw a white one. This is Kevin Flynn, so hey, he can color it however he wants. Of course, you have light up feature, that button there, and actually when you put a figure in, it'll light up as well. This is actually, I feel, very well designed, very stylized. You look at it, you know what it's from. There's no doubt that's Tron. Of course, this is styled after the original movie. They had the updated light cycles in Tron Legacy. They did do toys of them, quite a few. Ones for this scale, which we have somewhere in the house but can't find it. But they also did remote control ones. Now, these are really cool remote controls because these are air hog remote controls. Now, the thing about air hog is generally they're known for helicopters, but they also do cars that you can basically drive on the walls. Here is showing how this sticks to the walls. Okay, so, see? Stands right to the wall. Really cool. And go on the ceiling stuff and drive all around. One of the cooler aspects they've done with it. So as you saw, it sticks to the walls. These were awesome. I got a whole bunch of them on clearance for me and my boys, and we've had races of them on the ceiling because they also go on the ceiling, completely upside down, zooming around. Really cool. This is probably my favorite Tron toy because of that. I mean, be able to race your cars, remote control cars on a ceiling is just awesome. So this one I recommend if there's still some out there. In fact, most of these toys you could probably hunt down right now because that like the closeout stores, they still have Tron stuff. So they're still out there. If you closeout stores primarily near the end of the run of them, but they are there. And I'm going to finish up with the smaller. Okay. I'm going to finish up with the smaller one. Now, basically, what I just showed you was the larger scale figure. Well, not the larger. Okay. Stop that. now we're going to finish up with the small diecast line. What you saw was the standard 3 3/4 inch figure line, which ever since Star Wars is what most of the action figures have tried to be. Generally, when they try different scales, depending on the movie, there's different successes. Now, what they did was they took most of the vehicles and they did it in little die-cast versions. And so this is the only size you can find him in. They did not do him in a bigger size, except for this carrying case, which I'm about to show you, which is kind of cool. But basically, they did not do these for the larger figures. The carrying case is fairly standard, nothing too exciting about it. But inside, of course, we have light cycles. And once more, these are they did all the different variations. You can see this has the blue on it, and this has the white on it. So for the different characters. They did the bad guys as well. They did the Kevin Flynn vintage. They did all the flying ships. They did some of the even bigger vehicles that obviously this was really the only way they were going to get those made, because it'd be $100 vehicle otherwise, and in a series this limited, which they probably kind of knew offhand that it's not going to be that huge, that they didn't want it to get too crazy. But it was still kind of cool, because like I said, you get the bigger vehicles at least, which you want, but would take up a whole lot of room and be very expensive. So I was glad they did do the micro line, picked a few up. But this is a fun line. They did some really cool creative stuff with it. The larger figures had a holographic face. They were like I had shown you. The figure would look like this, and then you'd press the button, and a holographic face would come and talk and interact. It was a whole new technology they were kind of bragging about. I wasn't overly impressed with them, and they were very kind of expensive and very limited in really what they could do. They only had, I think, 3 characters they did. So it wasn't one. No, actually, I think only 2. I think they only did Sam and Clue. So it wasn't like, oh wow, it was actually kind of disappointing. So, but like the 3 3/4 inch series, I like. They do kind of have a bit of an awkwardness in holding their discs, but that's just one of those things that can't be helped too much. You have certain limitations, I can understand that. So that didn't upset me. But with the short span this line was out, I felt they did quite a bit. They covered all the main stuff they needed to do, and it was a fun line, and I was kind of, glad that in the end I was able to get a lot of pieces on clearance, because that's one thing about a lot of these toy lines is you miss out on so many of the things, because I can only spend so much, but when you can get them for 75% off, hey, you can pick up almost the whole collection at that point. So I love clearance deals. I definitely take advantage of them for my collections, especially when you have a very limited budget. So that's one reason why I was able to collect so much of the Tron stuff, even though some of these pieces are my boys. Both me and my boys have been collecting it. So, highly recommend it. If you can find pieces, there's still, like I said, closeout stores, I keep seeing some of the stuff still there, so, less and less all the time, but if you really want some Tron stuff, it is out there still. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Trying to get these episodes a little shorter. I sometimes run long because I could really talk about toys for a while, because it is a passion of mine. But I'm trying to be good and keep them short. So hopefully this was short enough and you've watched it all the way through. I would love feedback. Here's the email, opentpackage@gmail.com. Send me your feedback. Tell me what you think about what I'm doing. Love to hear from you. And I think that will do it. Okay, goodbye.